I want y'all to define hypergamy. We'll start with the red pill side because this is a question from our faith side. Go ahead and just define hypergamy for me.
Well, the denotative version of hypergamy would literally be from like a caste system where a woman, specifically gamy, would mean female. So for men to do it, it'd be hypoandry. But there's also, I can't remember what the other one is called, where women stay in the same one. It's called homogamy, which is women staying in the same class, homogamy, or hypergamy, which is women going one caste system up. That is the denotative definition. The connotative definition would be what I believe is women trying to get men they can't get, like always trying to shoot up to a higher level. And we use it sort of in our lexicon to say sort of the 80-20 rule, where a small number of men get a ton of attention from a great number of women. And then we see that when 63% of the top 10% of men on dating apps get 63% of the right swipes, top 20% get 83% of the right swipes. So that would be an example of hypergamy mathematically.
Okay.
Okay.
Data crossing up the hierarchies, baby.
Yeah.
Data crossing up the hierarchies.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna watch a video really quick. Can you please pull up this that video, Donnie, that I was trying to show you?
A quick question for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Would you guys ever connect hypergamy to dual mating strategies?
So
Sometimes.
So here's the thing:
Yeah.
dual mating strategy. It's now called the mate switching strategy. Just so Dr. David Buss doesn't call it the dual mating strategy anymore. He was the one who came up with that.
Yep.
Or some evolutionary psychologist. The concept for dual mating was the idea that women would like tree branch, right? And there is some science to that a little bit, but it's not quite as common. The mate switching strategy was that a woman would tree branch because she's looking for a new single major partner. So the study for that would be specifically in the book. You guys can look it up. It's When Men Behave Badly by David and Buss. The idea is when men were cheating in relationships, they reported the same level of satisfaction in the marriage if they were cheating or not cheating. When women cheated, 83% of the time they reported, 78% of the time they reported less satisfaction in the marriage. Mm-hmm. When men cheated, it was not to end the relationship. When women cheated, it was to end the relationship. So he calls it the mate switching strategy instead of the dual mating strategy. Yeah. Would hypergamy have something to do with that? Yes, I think it would in the case where you're with a man. And so hypergamy, so for instance, whether or not a man is alpha or beta or anybody, or same thing, if you were looking at your sales team or football players, the guy who was the young rookie, he was really good. And now he's got a contract where he makes, Zeke Elliott, great example, makes too much money now, right? And he's not worth that money. That your status will change throughout your life. So maybe over a course of time, now your husband's lost his job, he's gotten overweight. And now there's other examples because you live in Los Angeles or you live in Orange County or you live in Brickell or you live in Dallas, and now you're starting to consistently see examples of work of higher status men. In that case, yes, hypergamy would be part of it.
Would you align with the dual mating strategy version of hypergamy in the red pill space? Alpha lays, beta pays, because that is directly anchored to the dual mating strategies.
What do you mean? Can you explain that for
Alpha lays, beta pays. Yeah, we hear that all the time.
Alpha fuck.
No, hold on. He doesn't say that. He does a Christian podcast. He's not going to say that.
Sorry.
Yeah. It means the
same.
Wait.
We had to change the wordplay a little bit.
Sorry.
So I think from a
sometimes
I'm not specifically red pill. I just study evolutionary psychology.
Got it.
It would be like cads versus chads, right? So the idea of a chad, which is it actually does come from science. The idea of an alpha male from his physical characteristics versus cads, which are dudes that are being taken over. What exactly was the question again?
The question was the dual mating strategies connected to alpha lays, beta pays. Is that how you connect hypergamy? Is that how you would define women's hypergamy?
It's not that. It's not that black or white. I think it's almost like saying, some colleges are the color yellow. Sure. Like the University of Texas. It doesn't mean all colleges are yellow. So in some cases, hypergamy is a psychological term or just a term from actually, I feel like it's a sociological term. Yep. And then the idea of cads and chads would be an evolutionary biology term. Sometimes. I don't know if that's always the case.
So
do you guys reject Rollo Tomasi's rational male?
No, I mean, Rollo's a buddy of mine. I mean, I like
that's
a lot
his
of it.
direct definition from Rollo Tomasi
for hypergamy.
Dual mating strategy.
For sure. It's not just that. Like it's a bunch of stuff. Like we had a discussion before. He believes that it is the highest status man, highest status woman a man can get, and I say it's the highest status woman a man can't get. But like we're still friends. We just have little. We have.
Do you disagree on this?
But see, to say we disagree, it's like I 97% agree, and then to a certain extent, I don't.
So when you talk about the denotative, right? You mentioned that.
But for those
monogamy is.
Hold on. Yeah. First of all, hypergamy and mate switching. Like, this is going all over the place. These are not like entirely interconnected. I think the way that you're phrasing it is saying that it is.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Well, let me connect.
Hypergamy doesn't even always have to be present. There's no way to actually prove it. It's just a hypothesis. Like, people.
I agree.
Yeah. No,
Right.
I know that. So I think we should keep going.
Well, my framing for this entire red pill conversation is your guys' godfather, who wrote the Rational Male.
See, that's
so if you're rejecting
that,
most people in the red pill space
I'm
will
all
say
in, 'cause
women
this doesn't
are
sound red pill at all.
Right,
You sound
but-
like an
Oh,
evolutionary
yeah,
relationship guy.
So I believe in red pill
Hold on.
as it is a derivative of evolutionary psychology.
For
and,
sure.
and my godfather is named Jorge Lopez. So that's
That's-
that's my actual. He's Colombian.
OG.
Yeah. But he's my uncle. So that's the thing. Just to go back to what you were saying, we all have different opinions, and what Rollo was writing for in the concept of him trying to help men and trying to understand. Like, for instance, do you guys remember in the PUA community there was this thing? Don't buy a girl a drink. Do you guys remember that for a long time? Okay,
No.
maybe not.
He wasn't in that. Yeah.
Trust us on this one, right? Don't buy a girl a drink was something that they needed to sell to men who on the baseline were lower status.
Yes.
And in most cases, when they were telling these men, they were telling these men because these men were using the drink to make up for the fact that they didn't have a personality and they didn't have game. Okay. A lot of the things where Rollo will say these things are generalities that he's going to say because his audience is not men who are in a case where they're dating 6 women at the same time and making $2 million a year. He's speaking to a group of men who feel like they're not being heard. Okay. And so a lot of times for those people, I've seen you before with I think I saw some of your what are they called, cover photos for your YouTube videos, right? We do some clickbait, right? It's
red meat.
just the red meat. It's like that. Yeah. It's like a little clickbait because I don't believe never wait for sex. Sex is never worth the wait. Never is a hyperbolic word, right?
Statement.
But it doesn't mean doesn't make it wrong. Does that make sense?
Okay,
Now, here's the thing I have issue with.
She's been trying to.
like
I'm sorry.
we're totally derailing. Totally
No,
derail.
but it's fine. Let's derail though. It's a fun
you
conversation.
and I talked about this. All of those I Rule of Tomasi's, unless you've read the book, they are totally misinterpreted. I'm so tired of fucking explaining them. Excuse my language. The sex is never worth the wait. All that is so they can figure out if the girl wants to have validational sex. But let me finish. But people take that and assume that guys are supposed to be sleeping with multiple women. And although he does say sleep non-exclusively, most men can't. And the idea is that they want the guy to kind of divert their, attention to different things, because guys get so focused on a woman that they give up everything in their life for a woman, and that they end up not being the best version of themselves for themselves. They end up doing it for the girl, and the girl more often than not will leave them. And it's just like it's not conducive, like, in my opinion. I don't know. I just think if we keep going back and doing this whole hypergamy, Rollo Tomasi, it's just like stupid.
Yeah, but it's fine. Like, I don't mind having this debate. But
I just think it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
I think it's beneficial for the audience. Like most time, debates aren't for us; it's for the audience.
Okay.
And honestly, like the issue I have is that at the end of the day, whether or not the context behind what was written is there, the way that I'm seeing the result of the listeners,
sure,
but
especially in the red pill.
Here's the thing.
I literally hear that hypergamy is women's nature.
Yeah,
that
becomes the
okay.
issue.
So
I've never heard.
It's not a thing that men do. You're right.
It is a thing that men do.
But I'm saying, like, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So is it in their nature? So the thing is, from an evolutionary standpoint, there has to be some algorithm in a human's brain. So for us as men, if I were to ask you whether or not Selma Hayek in Dusk Till Dawn was attractive, or some other, like Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street, if you were to ask 100 men, is she attractive? They'd all just immediately say there has to be some algorithm in the Homo sapien male's brain that quickly can determine this woman is higher status or more likely to be fertile or whatever.
Sure.
It has to exist. So you have to understand the contrapositive has to exist in women. There must be some algorithm by which women sift men who are worthy of having children and men who are not. This is just an evolutionary algorithm. And most men will not be worthy. And therefore, because most men are not worthy, that's the 80-20 rule, and therefore hypergamy exists, and it is an evolutionary function. That's the way I believe. If you want to call it something else.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but even when you do the denotative definition, it shows that there are other versions of the gamete what women can
No,
do. Right?
only
You
a
were- you were
woman
addressing-
has-
the hyper part. The gammy is
only-
just women.
Hyper,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
But
gammy is
there
only in women.
wasn't there a mono as well, like a
So,
monogamy?
No, I'm sorry. It's called homogamy. Homogamy would be
okay.
homogamy, but the problem is there's not really science that shows that most women are into homogamy. So here's the thing: what we would do. So here's the thing. Let's go into this. When you talk about hypergamy, for each woman, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a normal distribution for what women find attractive, but for men, it's what's called negative kurtosis, meaning like men find a very narrow range of features in women attractive. That's why we can all, if I were to say, is this girl attractive? Almost all men would agree. For women, we have some women who are into guys who have you're seeing dudes with tattoo sleeves are just complete losers and just get super hot girls, right? So we see tattoo sleeves, tattoos on the face. We see dudes who are drug dealers, and then we see the big ones that would be in the middle of the standard deviation would be looks, money, status, right? And then we have other ones where like some women are into very, very like short but extremely powerful men, or exceptionally rich, or whatever reason, or the guy who's just the manager at the Denny's that you happen to work at in Des Moines, stuff like that. You hear about stories like that all the time. So for women, the hyper, meaning gaining up or going up in status, that's different depending on what contextual world that she lives in. Does that make sense? So if you live in Des Moines and you are working at the Denny's, then you're dating the manager at the Denny's, but you are in some case looking for a higher status man all the time. There is some function.